Well, hey guys, welcome to my channel, welcome to the stream and another chapter working on that guy right there. That's our MPC Country Charger, 1969 Dodge Charger. We're building it as a General E from the Dukes of Hazzard show. We'll run the intro, we'll get into it, okay? Okay guys, so we're back and we're continuing the build. Last time we got our engine installed. Finally got the engine in here. And as you might be able to tell, I've added a couple of little hoses. I did get the battery painted and put that in there. Let me change the camera and you can have a little bit better look at what we've got going on so far. Okay, so here's our engine. I got the battery in here. I added a positive and negative cable to it and ran it down in there. So we've got that, and I got my heater hoses for the engine going back there. That is just some solder. I painted up my little exhaust extensions, and now they don't look the best, but at least they're connected, right? And so that's the main thing, is that they're connected. So that is that. So what are we going to do today? Well, we got to do some painting. I want to get my wheels assembled, and I need to get some chrome paint put on our bumpers and our grille. So we got to do a couple of things like that. So one thing I noticed when I was looking at this kit, there's a couple of things. One was the car doesn't have no rear view mirror. There's no side view mirrors in the kit at all. And now, you guys who watch my channel, you know I built Dom's 1970 Charger from Fast and Furious. And you know, my initial thoughts were it's the same body, pretty much the same kit, just a different grille really, and maybe the different taillights, because it's a 70 and not a 69. But I realized this kit's made by MPC and Dom's kit is made by Revell. I looked at that kit and sure enough, it's got a side view mirror on the side of the car. This one, however, does not. But you know what? Bo and Luke need to be able to see Roscoe Pico train behind them. And so I 3D printed a mirror, and what I did is I oriented them in different things, because you know they're printing out like 4 millimeters in diameter. That's a really small little mirror, and so I put them on my build plate and I oriented them. I made like 6 of them, and of those 6, 3 printed. So I've got 3 little mirrors, and I put some chrome on them, and I just got them sitting on the sprue here. If we get it to focus on the other camera there, you can see them a little better. So I've got 2 little mirrors that are painted chrome. I just didn't bother painting this one, because if I've got 2, why do I need a third? The other thing I did is I took 2 of my air horns and painted those up. See the red ones. The other ones are just spares, so it doesn't really matter, right? So yeah, there's that. What else did I do? I have my grill masked off because we're going to be painting chrome on it. And I figured it's molded in black. Why save myself some hassle? I don't have to paint the center sections black. I did a little bit of detail on my wheels. So it's just silver paint. Just did some silver paint and painted the detail on them. So that's that. So speaking of wheels, let's get those things assembled, okay? We'll start off with those. Get our wheels assembled. So there's really not a lot to do with the wheels. Take the front of it, put it in the tire, and then you choose your different rear ones. Okay. So let's find those. We've got to find the rear sections. Here we go. Okay, so I already got these done. I primered the insides of them black, just in case, because you know what? Sometimes Some rims show the back of the wheels and some don't. These ones, of course, these are solid, so they're not going to see anything through the black there. Through the black, I mean through the back. So we don't have to worry about that at all. I'm just going to get these off of the sprue. Alright, now probably going to have to deal with flashing, yeah, ugly looking stuff like that. It's all over this kit, really. It really is. There's flashing everywhere on this kit. And I understand why there's so much, I'd say so much criticism about this kit on the internets. I understand why. Because a lot of things in this kit is just like, you know what, MPC, you could have done better. You could have done better. And my guess is they basically just took the molds from the 1980s and just redid it. Even on the pins that are supposed to go in the front axle, the rest of this is just cylinder heads and distributors for the 440 engine that I don't really need. I love this distributor cap. This distributor cap here. Look at the peg, if it'll focus. Look at the peg on that one. Okay, the peg right here. This one here. It's not even straight. It's curved. Like, what the heck, guys? That's curved. That should be straight. That should be a straight peg, and it's not. Yeah, anyway, garbage stuff. Now you might think, oh, I should save your distributor caps because you might need those for different engines sometime. Yeah, they're a little big, actually. They're pretty big and would not be in scale. So let's just get rid of those. Okay, so which wheels are the fronts and which are the rears? Well, we got to put these pegs through, so obviously the ones with the holes are going to be our fronts. And we don't need the flashing on this. So let's trim that off. Put this peg through here. Well, at least they did a good job there. I'll give them that. The peg fits the hole nicely. Our wheel isn't exactly round. Got a big bump sticking out there. But there's one front wheel. And then our other one, oh, right here, perfect. Take this, put that in there. Now before we do anything, what I want to do, before we actually commit to anything with these, trim the flash over that. What I want to do is I want to chamfer our leading edge. I don't want any lips on this, so kind of roll it as I file and make sure that is not sticking up. And then we're just going to do our little test fit here, so that the only hole I believe it can fit in is the bottom one. And of course it doesn't really want to. And of course if I try to fit in the other hole, it doesn't really want to go. I'm not sure which hole it's supposed to go in on the front. I'm guessing it's the bigger one, because these are different size holes on both sides here, both the front and the rear. And of course we've got flashing on them. like I said, I'm not sure. This one has a limited depth. The upper one has limited depth. It goes into the frame and it stops. The bottom one is, well, actually, it's got limited depth too. It only goes so far, and it's blocked on this side. This one goes all the way through. It's got a hole going all the way through, but this side doesn't. So let's take my other one, and let's just see. Yeah, so we could have wheel slop. That will stick out. That one won't go in at all. So we could, in theory, have the wheel going right up against there like that. I might wind up just gluing the front wheels on. That's probably going to be a better choice. It's just to glue them on. That way they're nice and solid. I mean, I'm not going to be rolling this thing around anyway, so it's not going to be really a big deal. I'm just going to check the instructions and see what holes they actually want us to go in. See, on the diagram, they don't even show the other hole at all. They just show the one hole, and that's it. On the rear, they show the two, and they show the axle going through the bottom one, or the one that's closest to the body, I guess you could say. And that's it. Let's see if I can do a kind of a mock-up here and see. Let's just put our interior tub in. This is going to help me get this lined up a little bit. There we go. See, that tells me how deep this is going to go. This is something that I find very unfortunate in doing it, is this gap in the dash right here. That is, if this doesn't sit any further forward, that gap is going to look pretty awful. So I'm hoping the interior sits a little more forward when it's all done and hides that gap there, because that's just wrong. It's just wrong. Okay, so if we take this one and we put it here, like that, there's where our wheel's going to sit. Actually, let's put the tire on that. Let's just put the tire on that. Let's grab a tire here. Let's get our tire bag. Open this up. Grab our tires. The tires are molded pretty nice. You can see the Goodyear molding on the side. They've got the line there if you wanted to, if you're doing some other kind of kit where you've got the the white sidewalls. So that's nice. The detail is good on these. I can't give them. I mean, it's basic. It's basic. Okay. So while I'm at it, let's just do what I did with the other peg and give this a chamfer. Just because it was being a little bit of a pain to go in the hole there. I have a feeling I'm just going to be trimming this off anyway, but we'll see. Let's take this, put it through there, put this in a tire. There we go. Okay, so now we got an idea of our tire diameter and all that fun stuff. And we're going to see the clearance we have. So we definitely want to go in that bottom hole because that's the clearance we got there. The tire does stick a little bit proud, but she's okay. I think what I'm going to do is I am just going to glue the tires in. That's what I'm going to do. I'll glue them on and that's good enough. I'll call that good enough, but yeah. There's an idea of how they're going to sit. And there's really no way to get that to go in there in that bottom hole. If I wanted to, you know, my Dodge Charger has been slammed it wouldn't even line up in that other hole. It would just line up somewhere in between there. I would have to trim off our wheel stub if I wanted to kind of, you know, slam the front end of this thing if I was doing some other kind of car. Since we're doing the General E, well, the General E was never slammed, so, and it didn't have no, you know, muscle car rake or anything like that. The General E was just the General E without all those performance things. It's really not what the car was all about. Okay, let's get our wheels assembled here. Let's get these off of the sprue. Okay, so the rest of this sprue, I've got my rear bumper here, my gas cap, those need to be chromed. We're going to do that today too. We're going to make sure we've got no ugly looking flashing. This kit is really just flashing everywhere. And it's not very pretty. So I'm going to do a little test here. I put that in there, and then I put a rear one on there. A lot of times you get these tires and wheels and your front and rear halves don't even match up. In this case we're doing okay. So that's a rear, so I'm just going to grab some glue. We're going to slather the glue on the inside here. And shove that in there and call that done. Just like that. There's one. One tire done. Okay, so let's grab another one here. A lot of times when you take these things off the sprue, you get the great big nub on the back side here, and that will, a lot of times, will prevent you from getting it to line up flush against the tire. So you got to trim that off and thin it out. This particular wheel has a lot of flash in that area, so I'm going to just file this down, trim it off. That looks a lot better. Just doing that little bit there. Just that little bit of filing. This one, she looks good just the way she is. And this one, yeah, she's pretty good too. Okay. Let's get these in their tires. I've even got some where the two seams of the mold come together. So, in this one, so this is another thing you can do for realism. You want a quick way to make your tires look realistic. Take a socket, from a socket wrench, shove that in the tire, put it in a drill. Okay, you put it in a drill, and then you take some sandpaper, put some sandpaper down, get your drill, and spin that tire on the sandpaper, and that'll rough up the surface and make your tire look a lot more real. Okay, now I'm just doing this just by hand real quick. That, and you'll see where it's going. Okay, like that. It's looking real. Now, of course, that exposes the two halves a little bit, so Sometimes you got to do a little work to get in between the lines there and kind of hide that seam. Kind of like this. Just hide that a little bit. Scuff up that vinyl. You know, the Dukes, they did a lot of dirt burnouts, squealing the tires in the dirt. So their tires got scuffed up pretty good. So there we go. And that's a much more realistic looking tire now, right? Let's put a rim in there. Let's do the other rear. I think it was the Dukes of Hazzard that did that, wasn't it? The squealing tire sound, even though they're in the dirt. There we go. Okay, I didn't scuff this one up, so let's just do that for continuity's sake. This sandpaper, by the way, I believe it is 320 grit. You could use something a little more aggressive. You can use like even something down to like 80 grit or something like that. It's just going to be more aggressive and just do quicker work on the vinyl, really. You just don't want to go crazy with it, and you don't want to go right down and shave off all of your, you know, tire tread detail. There we go. So you just had a little bit of work, and now the tire's looking more realistic, like it's actually been run on the ground or something, right? Okay. All right, so we've got our two front ones. Let's just do this real quick. A little bit of scuffing on here. Yes, the drill would make it much quicker of a job. But how about trying the file? Can I do the file? Even the file does the same job. Scuffs it up. Scuffs it up just the same. You don't have to do sandpaper if you don't want to. But if you're doing this kind of stuff, you've probably got sandpaper already anyway, right? So why not? The file will help out a little better if you've got a big parting seam on your tire. It allows you to get in between the seam a little bit easier. And get into that little groove and scuff it up and hide it. So there you go. Even with the file, it's just a little bit of scuffing. That's all it is. Let's do this one. I've got half my wheel in here. One thing I found out, and I found out now the hard way, when it comes to like 3D printing and stuff like that with resin, because that's what I'm using. I'm using a resin 3D printer. If you've got uncured resin on your whatever model you're working on, and you're filing it for some reason to, you know, clean up support marks and stuff like that, and you're using a file, and you encounter a little bit of uncured resin, that uncured resin will get onto your file and basically turn your file into something that's kind of just smooth and not really work anymore. And that's what I've got here. I've got like little bits of resin that have cured onto my file, and my file no longer files. If that makes any sense. Okay, so this got to have a pin in the center. But if I just go and glue this on here, guess what's going to happen? It's going to glue the pin in. But does that really matter? No, it doesn't matter, because I'm going to be gluing this thing solid anyway. The pin is just going to help me get everything lined up. Let's get this fourth one in here. These particular tires, they don't have any, the tread pattern is not directional at all, so we don't have to worry about that. There's no specific lefts and rights when it comes to the tires. And there we go, our tires are all assembled now. And that's that. So, we're going to put our tires on the chassis. Which means I need that little metal axle out of the kit here. That would be this guy here. That is our rear axle. And so we can take this and shove it. Unfortunately, that just fell right in there. It's really a really loose fit. That should not be such a loose fit. These should have enough resistance on them that I pick this up and that comes with it as an assembly. Unfortunately, it doesn't. I grab this tire and boop, just leave everything behind. Like, that's not good. This needs to be tight. Well, that's where glue comes in, isn't it? Yes, of course it is. So it wants us to do this hole, the bottom one, and see if we can try push this through. And of course we can't. There we go. Can we go all the way through? We're hitting something inside. Something is being hit inside. Let's try this way. We just don't line up. And of course we're inside of it, so we can't even see how it all goes. It looks like it's crooked. So let's just try and open up this hole a little bit here. Open up our holes. So that's probably the biggest problem, is they just don't line up with the axle. I can't see. I got no way of seeing inside there to see how it lines up. Looking at this, it looks like it's going this way. Let's grab pliers here and see if I can actually sort of force it to line up if I can. I'm really just guessing in trying to get this lined up, because I can't see through there. I'm going by feel. Well, I almost see it. Tell you, once I actually get this in here, I'm going to make sure I don't have to do it again. Let's try this side again. This hole is definitely tighter. see it in the hole there. I see you, I see you. Go, go, go. I see you right there. Go. Yes! Got it. Alright, so the axle is super tight. The axle is super tight. Now what I'm going to do, our wheels obviously go on there and they'll go all the way. Now, I'm doing all this, but I told you I'm not going to bother with this actually rolling. It doesn't really matter to me whether these things spin or not. So you might wonder, well, if it doesn't matter, then why are you bothering putting that axle in there? Well, to help me line it up and get it straight across in the way it's supposed to go. The other thing I need to do, I need to just test fit this again to see where we sit if my tires are too low, because I don't want this thing looking jacked up. And that's going to be, that's not bad. That's not bad. That's kind of normal, right? That looks normal? I think that looks normal. So I'm going to take some CA glue and we're going to glue our tires on the rear. It's metal, so you need to use CA. Put a little dab right on that guy. Fill in that hole. And do that just to make sure it's all on there. And we've got one tire, we're basically saying done. Next one. Just do that on the hole. Drop that down, spin it around. Done. Done. Okay. The front wheels, we don't need to use CA glue because that's all plastic. It's all plastic. So, this side goes in here, and we're limited in our depth, so I need to trim this peg off a little bit. The peg won't go all the way through, so I need to trim it off. I only need the peg really just for guiding it. So we're going to glue it solid. So the peg really is just so that I get my wheel in the spot it's supposed to do. Give it a little bit of a spin around. And of course, I'm moving it all around and not really holding it. I should be holding it straight up and down like that. Just hold up for a second like this. Sorry, I just did that off camera. So I'm just letting it sit there and let the glue do its thing. Okay. Meanwhile, I'm going to take this other wheel and I'm just going to set it there just so that the car sits straight up and down like that. Well, even the CA glue is going to take a while. I bet I could spin this. Oh, maybe not. The CA is taking a hold. Good. Good, good. Okay, so we'll just let that do its thing for a minute here. My front wheel is on the tire, looks really kind of crappy. It's a huge lip, and that's testament to the build quality of this kit. Let's see if she's going to hold if I do this. Yay. Okay, let's get our fourth wheel. Some glue on there. Hold this steady. Spin that around in the hole. And just call that done. sure I'm up against the thing. Yes, good. There we go. I do want my wheels straight up and down, so I'm just going to do this. And that's going to help it keep it parallel and straight. Just like that. Okay, so with our wheels glued in, we can just let that sit and work on something else. Something like maybe getting chrome put on our bumpers. Okay, because we've got to re-chrome it. I stripped it all off and now I got to redo it, right? What am I going to be doing to re-chrome it? Well, we're going to find out. You guys have already seen me use a couple of different types of, well, not a couple, but used a different type of chrome using these chrome pens. I'm not going to be using this stuff. Not for the bumpers. I'm going to be using this stuff that's kind of been all the rage on the online forums, Facebook groups and stuff like that. This stuff that you can get on Amazon called Fusion Firm. Okay, Fusion Firm, so on this camera here, Fusion Firm, ultra shining fluid silver foil. Yes, so this comes in a nice little package. You get 2 bottles. You get your chrome paint and you get a clear top coat for it. Oh no, so this is gold. Oh, they call it gold plating protective lacquer. But really this is your clear coat. And I have heard that this stuff is basically Alclad Aqua Gloss. As you can tell, they really do look, it looks like the same product. Very close, right? Very close. Looks like the same thing. Could very well be. I don't know. So these come, it's pre-thin, it's really thin stuff. It comes with a shaker in there, as you can hear. There's a ball in there to shake it up nice. Looking at it on the outside of the bottle, it just looks like silver, but when you paint it on, this stuff looks like chrome paint. Pull this out, open this up. There's a brush in there for you to brush paint it if that's what you want to do. You can see just looking in there, this stuff is like, it is like chrome paint. It's really, really impressive. But I'm going to be spraying this stuff. That's what I'm going to be doing. I already have my air compressor already done, already gone, it's already set up. And I am going to spray paint this stuff on. I have not tried this yet. I have not tried spray painting this stuff. Yes, I have used the brush, and I did that on the mirrors. My rear view mirrors. Let me change the camera, I'll show you. Here's the rear view mirrors. Okay. Yeah, looks like chrome. This one I actually touched with the one in the middle, or the one on the right. That one I touched and got my fingerprint on it. But the other one, it looks really nice, really like chrome. It's really impressive stuff. I'm not sure what it is. I don't know if it's an ink like Molotow is. Like I've got Molotow liquid chrome. This stuff is an ink, so this stuff doesn't really cure, right? So anyway, I'm gonna shake this up. And we're going to see how this stuff looks. I'm going to shrink my other camera's view here so you can see a little bit. We're going to just leave our car here. Actually, I'll move this. I'm going to move my coffee cup out of the way. We'll move our little car over here. Out of the way. Let that paint dry. We got to do the front bumper. And we got to do the rear bumper and well, I'm hesitant to do the gas cap because I'm thinking the gas cap is going to go onto the body like this, doink, on there. And then I was thinking I'll just take the brush and I'll paint the gas cap while it's on there and call that done. I'm thinking that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, yeah. In any case, we've got the other bumper here. And I think I want to take it off the sprue, just like this one. Take it off the sprue and make sure that we've got all any kind of little nubs or ejector pin marks, the flashing, all this stuff nicely cleaned up. I have heard that you don't have to put any kind of a base coat. Normally with chrome you need to do like a base silver or a base black coat, usually a gloss black down first. I've heard that this stuff you don't have to. Now of course on the mirrors I didn't even prime those and it came out looking like that. So there's that. The bumper looks pretty good as far as flashing goes. I'm going to do a test fit to make sure. Sometimes it's not until you actually go to put it on the car that you discover the flashing on it. And you don't really want to go in. Of course, there's so much flashing on the actual body that needs to be trimmed. I'm kind of happy that primes in white because it really shows up all the extra, well, that needs to be done is before she's ready for paint. That was what I was going to assume because we'll get to the point where we need to really watch. That's it. That should fit into that little channel right there. And not sit like a full 3 millimeters out. It just doesn't want to fit. I might just put it back, man. I'm not fitting it all. No, it's just going back there. It should just fit in that channel. It should just fit right in there. It's also going to be a 2 now for the white. That's what it's like. It's like 2 now. And it doesn't fit that exact mold in there. Wow, we'll try this. This doesn't fit at all. So often. Keep up there. See it? Yeah, we can do it. It's going to be dark. Face already doesn't this end. Doesn't actually go in the overall. There's a much tighter end than the mask. Now this is try end. Mask contour. More detail. Fit in that channel there. I get this side in. So much. You should get this for less time. But I got to match up. I should go to that channel. Finally. It's just a lot of work. Okay, so I can be happy with that and push this later. And then I have nothing like that. And that's okay. Yeah. And that's my cuff. Here, take my fit. Very tight. I'm trying a little bit. Material here. Trying to do some pressure on it. Sorry, that's not kind of cool here. Just trying to remove some of this. Just half a quarter millimeter of material off. So there's not so much pressure on the bottom. Just making sure that you're not going to actually lose it. That it's not such a crazy awful fit. And that fits a little nicer. That means it takes some of the off. I'll try to do that now before it's painted. Try to do all this now before we get to paint. Alright, that's already there. Yeah, push in there, light up. Yes, a little shading all takes. Alright. This side's pretty good, this is good. If this side's still a little too tight. But we can work with it, something working out. And nice shade a little of this. Shading on both things helps, so just not on one. We got the bumper. Press it in now. Press it in there. Good. It's just these are a little off and pointing down. See what I mean? Yeah. But we're there. It's already been an hour? Wow. Okay. We're ready finally to do some paint. So what I'm going to do is, whoops, is drop this on the floor. Almost. Where is my little thing for doing things? This here. We're going to get some tape. Put this on here. Like that. And we're going to stick our bumper down. Like that. That's good. This guy, I think I'll just do an alligator clip on this guy. I've already put this guy in the front end a couple of times, once or twice, and he just sits in here like this. And he has no problem sitting in like that. He sits good. He doesn't have an issue. In fact, if I were to say, have any complaint, I'd say he's too loose. But yeah. Okay, so I don't want to just set it down like this because I need to get in. Do I need to get in there? Not really. I could just set them down like that. Well, okay, sure. Let's do this. Take down, put him here. That way I can get to the underside here nice and easy. Okay, shake this up again. Change camera. Okay, before I go, we'll put this on. Now, you get a lot on your little brush. This thing does kind of sit in here a little loose. I don't like it. See what I mean? It sits in there really loose. That's the one complaint I have with this. Because now how do you grab this without getting paint all over yourself? Okay. Let's pour a little bit into our cup. Okay. Now you see, I should have done the whole proper thing in pouring instead of just pouring it out of the jar like that. That's my bad. Okay. Let's see how this stuff sprays. Like I said before, I've never sprayed this before, but I've heard that you can spray it straight out of the bottle. And yes, you can. So let's see how this stuff goes down. Well, I'd have to say, first impressions, it's looking really nice. It is looking really nice. Okay, that's done, and we got chrome there. Oh yeah, you gotta do the best viewers. How come you get the one person who goes in my chat is a stupid bot, like every freaking time. There we go. chrome. So we're going to let that sit for a couple of days before we touch anything on it. And we'll just let that dry. Done. And with that, I'm not even going to make you guys watch me clean my airbrush, because this is where I'm going to leave it for today. I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank you for coming out. Thank you for all the support and for joining me on this little journey of building the General Lee. Thank you guys again, and that's where we're going to leave it. So we'll see you all in the next one.